Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to a joint meeting between the Swanton Select Board and the Swanton Village Trustees. Our president is
Running late.
coming late, so you got to deal with me tonight. But we do have an agenda. I'd like to start by opening the village trustee meeting, and then perhaps the town can open their meeting.
Sounds good.
And then we'll proceed with our agenda as told. So I do call the meeting to order. As soon as the select board meeting is open, we will rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Good evening, folks. Going to call the town portion of this meeting tonight, joint meeting here to order at 7 o'clock on Monday, September 26th, 121st Street. And the first item on the agenda, the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. On our agenda, the agenda review, are there any changes or additions?
I've got some stuff for other business, but that's all.
Okay. Do you guys have anything special?
Do you have anything we need to add, Brian?
Well, we've got some items that we'll bring up.
But it's on the agenda, right?
No, it's not actually listed there. I have them here.
Okay, well, we probably better put them on the
Can
agenda.
we do that during other business, or?
Well, I'll do it during the,
Well, that's number.
Do we need to add to the agenda?
Discuss joint issues
That's
and
where we're at.
projects with the county. Discuss joint issues and projects. So.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, we do have item 7 is to discuss joint issues and projects. That'd be the appropriate time for that, I think.
There we go. Sounds good.
Okay, also, this would be a time for public comment. If there's anyone that has any particular issues they want to ask about or make note of, we'll have other opportunities as well, but
I'd just like to say it's nice to have this joint legislative body meeting back in session. So thank you so much for moving this forward.
okay, for the village, our next item is to approve and accept the minutes of Monday, September 8th. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
I'll second it. And a second. All in favor, are any questions or offered? Have you read it?
Gone through it, looks good.
Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes for September 8th?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are accepted. Next item is to approve and accept the village warrants through Thursday, September 22nd.
I move that they be approved.
And I'll second.
Okay? Do we have any questions?
No.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept?
You do?
Yep, and I second. Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Warrants are accepted. Okay, item 7. Discuss joint issues and projects with the town select board. Do we have an agenda? Should we start with us or start with Ryan?
There's a few items that we would just like to discuss, and in no certain order, and I'll just run them off. Downtown economic development, what the progress there is, the Southern Growth District, the proposed recreation center, the proposed trailhead, potential for maybe a joint town and village website. And we may also request to go into executive session when it comes to economic development. That's what we've got, no uncertainty. So whatever you'd like to do,
Why don't we start with your list? It sounds good.
okay. I guess we'll start with, and I don't want to put him on the spot, but Joel Clark is here. He's heading up a couple of projects. We're very fortunate to have him, and he's enjoying his retirement by doing a lot of projects. So he, I believe, is going to talk about the rec center proposal and the trailhead. Maybe touch on that. So it's yours.
Okay, I wasn't quite sure I was going to be the one leading this, but I'll be glad to give you an update on where we're at regarding both projects. Been working the Moyle Valley Rail Trail parking area, that would be on Robin Hood Drive. As you look at where the two spurs are, it would be the spur to the south, not the spur to the north. Is where the parking area would go. The land to the north had too much wetlands in there to get permission from the state. It would be too costly and too much of an issue. So what we've been moving ahead with is a parking area to the south. We have had a site plan prepared by Cross Consultant. But what I found out a little while ago is this is Fed money, and being Fed money, we can't go forward with design right now. We're gonna have to go ahead and wait until we get grant funding, if we do get grant funding. On 5 October, we're gonna do a site visit with some folks from AOT that are in charge of this project. The grant application is due November 1st, up to $300,000 with a 20% cash match. They plan to decide early December how they're gonna give out the money for the grant. Basically, AOT received $2 million specific to the Moyle Valley Rail Trail. So we are in a great position to get some of that grant funds to put a parking area for people to access, to more easily access the Moyle Valley Rail Trail where it meets on Robin Hood Drive. What we would like to do is get a parking area, get it paved, a little picnic pavilion, possibly restrooms, and some site lighting. We're gonna take a look at the cost. I think we're gonna exceed the $300,000 max a little bit. So we may have to tailor that down some, but we're in good shape. We've had the wetlands delineated on the south side, and we've altered the site plan a little bit to stay out of the wetlands and the wetland buffer. If we get grant funding, short of all the restrictions that it takes to do this federal contracted, we could be ready to go next year and get this project underway. So from an LVRT perspective, I'm feeling pretty good that we've got a good chance to get this grant, because it's a perfect fit. I don't know if you have any questions.
I just have one question. Is there money in there for maintenance, like trimming back the bushes along the trail and stuff?
The
That
maintenance
seems to
of
be
the
an issue.
Yes, Chris, that's a great question, but the issue regarding maintenance in the parking area is the town needs to write a letter saying they will maintain the parking area. As far as maintenance of the trail, that is not part of what we're looking at. I think that's more for the folks, the state and, you know, I forget the name of the association for the snowmobile association and stuff, but I think they work fast, right? I think.
They do that with the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail, the state and the.
And they have a full management plan available, or draft plan available, that you can find on the Swanton Recreation website to outline what kind of maintenance they're going to provide to the path.
Okay, good, because it seems like that's an issue. Parts of the trail, it's just overgrown, even for a bicycle.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the area of the trail, like from Sheldon to here, is fairly new, so hopefully the growth hasn't gotten too far ahead of itself. But I might as well bring this over. The town select board has seen it, but this would give you some idea of the layout. This being Robin Hood Drive, this being the existing rec path. There's the LVRT. This is the spur we're talking about right here. You'd be able to drive in with a pickup and a snowmobile trailer to use these, or just a separate car into these parking spots. Wetlands are delineated.
Similar to what's happening at the boat launches, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just to get people access. If we're gonna have this great resource, let's get the access improved and get people using it more.
Yeah,
Well, if
great.
you go to parking area, they can be more access to it.
And that doesn't infringe on any housing or anything on
Leduc
4th
Dri-
Street or Leduc?
And this would be Leduc Drive here, so the road itself is here before the housing.
Gotcha.
There are some concerned residents, we'll throw that out there. We sent a letter stating that we might start doing some clearing, and that letter did spur some concern. What we're looking to do on October 4th at the select board meeting is we have to have a public hearing anyway as part of the grant application. Is we're gonna have a public hearing, let people air their concerns. We will do as much as we can to keep a little buffer of the wooded area between the road and that parking area. I mean, it is gonna open it up. I mean, that's,
I would think you would discourage nighttime parking there. People don't use the trail at night. Well, maybe they do in the winter, maybe snowmobilers.
well, with the time of day in the winter, there will be some, but, you know, we have village police and village police contracted by the town right here. So when they're coming back, why not make a little,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
Make a little swing right in there, presents every now and then.
Makes a difference.
I think it can be managed. To me, it's a lot more open than down by the bridge. You know, as far as where people are gonna
Joel,
go. Yes,
that'll be lighted too, won't it?
and part of the project is to put lights in there.
Very good, thank you, Joel.
You're welcome. The second piece we're looking at is a rec community center, and that's been part of a discussion started back with the whole 4th Street Town Garage property. I've been working with the town and the rec committee, and Betsy, you jump in anytime you want here. Working, and Nicole. Working with the rec committee because I'm very passionate that we need to do something. The amount of children, and I'm even going to back up and say this rec center would be from very young to very senior folks, so it would be all inclusive. But what I've seen of the rec facilities and the use they get, they're overtaxed, and been working with the rec department to come up with a rec community center project. And we looked at different locations. What we decided to go ahead with, and we got some estimates for engineering from Cross Consulted, is a building that would be down, I'm gonna call it the pit. It's the lower part of the rec fields. And the one thing, and quite a few in here have heard about it now, that I did not know, and I wished I had known, and I wish someone had told me, is that is actually village property. I thought the rec department operated on town property. I heard some of the background of why that became village property when the Alumni Association gave the ball fields up. My understanding, it was easier to give it to the village. It's easier for you folks to get land, buy and sell than the town. Anyway, that is the desired location. The rec department is very passionate for the reasons they want it down in that area. 4th Street would work after the cleanup of the brownfields. Parking
Some information.
would be a little more of an issue on 4th Street property, and then the actual expansion, if you ever wanted to expand, would be limited. It won't fit up above, and by moving a ball field because of the size of the facility, they're really looking for a indoor gym with some meeting rooms surrounding the building. Is the desired end state they would like right now.
So if I can just hop in 1 second. So Betsy Fournier, I'm the chair of the Swanton Rec Board for going on 18 years now. And I did not know about the whole village and town scenario either. And I guess we're not just busting out the seams in our space. We're busting out the seam in our space as a whole. So we had 150 kids sign up for soccer. We don't even have enough fields to support, you know, all of our kids. Our teams are huge. So our kind of concept around this the facility at the rec department is to use the forestry as overflow field space for our community. So our programs are just expanding, and our community is at huge need for space all around for young children to our seniors, like Joel said.
And in the packet of information that I shared with you folks, that I've also shared with the select board, shows the increase in our numbers, as well as what kind of programs we're currently offering now at the rec department, some information about the demographic and what we're looking at as our focal point as a community center. And it really is for all ages and providing that safe, welcoming space for everybody in Swanton to use.
Adam, do you have a question?
And one thing we see is this is an opportunity with the ARPA funds. The ARPA funds will not cover the total cost of construction, but here is a one-time opportunity to jumpstart this, and then we'd have to go out and seek other funds, most likely with a bond vote, possibly the USDA, maybe a grant or a low interest loan. There are some other avenues, but part of what we were getting ready to proceed with, and the select board actually approved it the other night, is design funds, because this project, if you're gonna do it, is gonna take a while. You've gotta have stormwater permits. As part of the stormwater system, you're probably gonna have to touch the wetlands just a little bit down there, not very much. And that whole process takes a long time. So what we wanted to do was get the design started and pretty much get design to an 85–90% completion, because if you're gonna have a bond vote, you've gotta be pretty accurate with your numbers. And if we don't get the stormwater, wetlands, and the actual facility designed to a certain level, then the number we throw out there could be off 20–30%. So that's where we are pretty much right now with the project. And depending on the discussion tonight, certainly got to come to the village about the whole property issue and putting a facility there.
Yeah, if I may add, I think without knowing what Joey's saying, is realizing that it's a village property, the town, we put in $600,000 in the ARPA fund to really get this thing moving, and obviously that throws some problems into that. So we think as a community adventure, I think this is probably one of the greatest community things that we could be doing as a joint, to show the community, you know, we are whole, and hopefully that you guys, you're certainly willing to work with the select board going forward and come up with a solid game plan for the property and the facility for the community as a whole. So I think that's the biggest ask going forward. I know tonight is my last night, but I think these guys are certainly willing to do what we can to work together to solve this problem that was just thrown at us. So we'll see what we can do going forward. But the town is like I said, we've dedicated $600,000 off the top of the ARPA to move forward. So.
I can't speak for everybody here, but I know we support our youth. I mean, our kids all grew up here, and this is a great place to have that sort of activity. One thing I wondered about though, in the summertime, are we allowed to use the school grounds, their ball fields and stuff?
It's the outside space, yes, and we do utilize their outside space during the school time, but they have programs running during the summer as well, specifically during the month of July. And we have tried to utilize their inside space during the summer months, but it's difficult as they are cleaning, preparing, maintaining, especially their gymnasium space during the summer months, where they quite often redo the floor or do any big maintenance needs to the larger spaces during those summer months.
Okay, let's just.
And the school only has soccer fields, and then they do their only basketball program. We serve like 3 to 4th grade for recreational sports.
That's age 3 to 4.
Age 3 to 4th grade. And then the school takes on basketball and soccer for 5th and 6th grade.
I think it's important to add, if I may, it's not just about the youth and the sports, it's about the community and the seniors and having these, say, classrooms, for lack of better terms, for many different uses, facilities for the community.
Question.
Yes.
When you were talking earlier, you said with regards to the design, it's what they would want. Who is they?
They includes a lot of people, because we've been working this again since the whole Floor Street Town Garage property issue that came up early '21, I think.
Was the year.
So we had people come to the site and talk about what they would like done with that site, talk about what type of facility, and then the rec committee itself, and looking at what they see as a need for space. So we had quite a bit of public input from the event that was held on the property. And then a survey was also put out. So it was a combination, and then getting with the rec department, because I originally proposed something much smaller. And, you know, we're looking at something bigger to just, to solve the needs now.
And in the future.
Yeah.
Right, and then for some future expansion capability.
And our programs are continue to grow, and we could expand on them if we had the opportunity to. And I think a lot of our community could expand on opportunities if we had a space to utilize.
I think a lot of our organizations could.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The activity rooms would give quite a bit of flexibility, and then you'd also be able to rent, you know, the large space. I know we talked about how many hours a week we'd have to rent it and how much we'd have to ask to help offset the cost of someone to watch over the place and utilities. But, you know, it'd take a couple of years to get it going, but it certainly is doable.
I have one comment, and I don't see a better use of that piece of property. I don't see a need for the village to use it for anything. Why not use it for this? I haven't had any input, anybody else yet, but.
And I mean, essentially the rec's using that for parking down there.
Yeah.
But yes, to me, it's a great use for the property, and the ability to expand upon it would be there as well.
Just one question, does anybody know of any hindrance involved?
No, I know there's sewer available down there. The sewer runs down by the trail. Water is obviously up on, up
Blake
top
Street.
by Blake and Jewett,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Storm drain down through there?
Yeah, I think there's a storm
Oh, yeah, there is.
There is.
drain down there
No
too.
question.
So when you're worried about wetlands and storm drains, and I'm pretty sure, I have to double check if that storm line goes into our swirl basin that's located in Marble Mill. If it is, I mean, we're treating the stormwater. So we're not treating, but separating the solids from the underwater before it goes into the river, so.
We could pull out the plans, they're available.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have to have any sort of written agreement between the village and the town at any point moving forward, if that's something, or maybe a vote.
Well,
Yeah, I think that in order for us to, or to continue to go ahead, because the board has approved the money for design, you know, and that could go ahead right off. But without village approval for the use, because it is village land, you know, it's kind of hesitant to spend that money.
yeah.
I don't see us having a problem with that.
No.
I can't see us using it for anything right now anyhow.
No.
Now, I do know during Little League, the tournaments and stuff, that parking lot does fill up. So, I mean,
Doesn't hurt anything.
it's 3,000 square foot, that building?
No,
It's much
much
larger.
larger.
It's,
I can't
like
see it.
86 or so.
How much?
So it's.
Somewhere around 8,000, because the gym itself is 60 by 90, so you're 5,400 right there.
And then the additional space around it, I think, is 3,000 square feet.
The old,
Classrooms.
did you bring any of the designs that we looked at?
Yeah, they have,
Yeah, they
have
have
it in the
them.
packets.
Okay.
Yep.
They're just hard, they're small, I know.
Yeah.
But- And there is like other area, I mean, if you design a parking lot, people will know how to park, but there's no, it's not paved, there's no
No, there's no
lines
order
and,
down there.
so,
In
And-
the discussion with Cross Consultant, the facility needs to get down toward the lower end, and that's why I'm not sure what you have for a site plan.
They have the concept 5.
Okay, so, in order, they felt the best way to get the storm drain accomplished, the facility had to be toward the far end of the parking lot. So you're gonna not infringe a lot on the parking lot, but you're gonna infringe on it some.
It's closer to the right path.
This is a little bigger.
You folks have them all in your
I've
packet
seen
too.
it in an email somewhere.
This is a little bigger
Yeah.
than what you have.
But there's also some area in the parking lot right now that could be mowed down to make larger
more
parking
parking.
area.
Just wanted to add also that you folks
I got the
do
wrong
a free summer day camp, 4 weeks down there now.
Yep.
Which is
I gave you the
available
wrong
to all people
content.
in Swanton,
Does that say
and it's
5?
free. And they get breakfast and lunch.
Food for thought. I mean, we've always had issues with people parking on Jewett Street with the trucks coming in and out of the limestone.
Yes.
So that's why the other parking area sort of helped solve that problem. I think this is a great idea. I have one other question. It's a little different. It's probably not in the scope here, but has any of the plans for Marble Mill Park fallen aside, or is that?
Marble Mill Park, I'm not sure where that went. I left my job at Rise Vermont, so I didn't have the capacity to move forward with that. I think it was a matter of funding, and what the village was gonna put forward to support any sort of those plans moving forward. There is grant money that could come available at some time, but it's a matter of someone writing those grants. And then also those grants will have, a match, so money has to come from somewhere, and I know that Reg and I in the past in the village have talked about creating some sort of maintenance plan or some
Well,
parks plan to
I mean,
support.
This plan is for young kids, so.
Well, no, that's not so much for young kids, it's gonna expand, this
It's
is
a
an opportunity for
It's a
everybody.
community.
It's a community plan.
We were talking, Marble Mill Park, maybe having some improved pickleball.
Yeah.
And maybe some water, not swimming, but access kind of things.
Yeah.
And maybe having a bike loop coming down from Webster Terrace. And, because there is some parking up there where the restaurant used to be. And there was talk in years past of a skateboard park kind of thing for those kids of that age. So that seems, I mean, I'd like, all I'm thinking about here is maybe there's opportunity in other areas of the town too, not for this facility, but for, upgrading people's ability to get out and exercise and do things.
I agree, pickleball is huge at Marble Mill, I think the numbers have
Yeah.
just continued to grow, and, we have opportunity, like, we have free equipment at the rec department for pickleball and kayaks and snowshoes and all that good stuff to support our outdoor recreation in both, Swanton as a whole. So, yeah, I agree, the plans are there, and I think it's just an opportunity, for someone to take those plans for Marble Mill and just kind of figure out what concept they wanna start with.
Well, I
And
just don't want Marble Mill to fall off the,
That's what
Fall
Reg
off
is
the
gonna
truck
do in his
here,
retirement.
Joel, just one question.
Yes,
What's your estimated price tag currently?
the estimated right now is about 1.6.
It's under literature.
Okay.
So, if I could, I'd give Chris a little update on the Marble Mill. So there was, when the grant was applied for, there was other grants that were being applied for the same thing. And the grantors, the ones that-
Yeah.
they had a lot of questions about both of these activities. And then towards the end, when Betsy said that, you know, she left Rise, there was a plethora of other information that they were looking for, and I just ran out of runway to get all the information to them. The other concern they had was the floodplain area, you know, because when we do have ice jams and stuff, that place floods. So that was their other concern with that area. And then also, you know, we had the river crossing and the dam replacement. So we had all these other activities happening in there, and that's where it kind of,
Sure.
the designs are there.
No, I just don't want to completely fall off.
Yeah.
At the arrival of our president, I'm gonna relinquish the gavel
that's
here.
all right.
If I could just finish up, Chris, with just want to make sure that this facility is, again, for all age groups. So all exercise and activity, the indoor gym could be for seniors for some type of activities, could be for the youngest. The intent is this is a community center for all ages of people of Swanton and neighboring town. That's the
I think,
intent.
yeah, just to clarify a little bit more, I mean, it's best to say, maybe call it a community center under the direction of the rec department, might be the cleanest way to say it. So it's not really a rec center, it is a community center.
Rec/community.
Sure.
And if I could, also, I'll put my foot in my mouth because I'm a short timer. But way back when we were talking about the Wayside Furniture as being the teen center, we all were looking at how it wasn't getting utilized to the extent that it should have been. And we had discussed back then that there's a need to reimagine what that should look like, and the community center did come up back then. So when all that controversy and hubbub was going on about that, this came up. So I am a staunch supporter of this. I think it's a good idea for all ages. Pickleball, we don't have facilities down there, so the seniors, we put a porta potty down there and they loved us to death, but that can get old quick. So if you have a facility, you know, like this down there, there's bathrooms. I just think, you know, it's time. But St. Albans has that new outdoor pool and Cardack Recreation Center. I think this would be a good opportunity.
Just on that note, Marble Mill has seen 1,200 pickleballers so far this year, and they're still avidly making pickleball appointments or schedules on their playtime scheduler, which is great, and I know they'll be chomping at the bit next season to get the courts out. We do have a portable net, so any mixed-use gymnasium facility could be also used for pickleballers all throughout the year. As the rec director, one of the things we find challenging when we're planning adult activities is space during the day, and a facility like this would allow multi-generations to use it when school is in session because we don't have that gymnasium space. Also, as far as Marble Mill goes, as I do my funding search weekly, I always keep in mind what kind of avenues could benefit Marble Mill as well as all of our recreational assets, including Swanton Beach, the Village Green, any of our open parks when I'm looking for funding to bring into Swanton for recreation.
I'd like to make one comment concerning Marble Mill. With the Moyle Valley Rail Trail, that becomes a real asset for this community. That's maybe a draw. Maybe they could be kayak, you know, we could be advertising, because these people, this goes way to St. Johnsbury. And this type of recreation today is growing with the younger generation. Well, I'm a little too old to do it, but
You're never too old.
but I've seen it on the Missisquoi Rail Trail. You know, families, husband, wife, 2 children, you know, on their bikes and stuff. We have a real asset there, and with this, we gotta look at this as something, we just can't look at it as Marble Mill. Marble Mill's gonna be part of an overall plan. And, you know, the same thing with the rec center. I think that needs to be part of an overall plan. We ought to have more of a vision than just the rec center that was mentioned at Swanton Wayside. I think there's gonna be, and I'm gonna put this in here, I don't care, you laugh if you want, but there's a really big need, and this is not a funny issue either, for high quality childcare, preschool, you know. That makes Swanton a more attractive place. And this could all be part of an overall plan. You know, you got 4th Street, you're gonna have some use for that. what's gonna happen, with Swanton Wayside Furniture area. I mean, I'd hate to lose that as an, you know, it's really an asset to this community, so if it ever gets out there, we should be seriously thinking about purchasing that. But we got, you know, it would be part of an overall plan, so now we're gonna start with this, community center, do what we can to make, Marble Mill attractive, more attractive, especially from this, rail trail standpoint. I mean, we can find something, activity down there that people would come to Swan for. Plus, we'd be able to get them down if we let them use our trail, you know, only bike or pedestrian, obviously, no motor vehicles, down Grand Avenue, right down through the heart of downtown. And maybe we got a couple things going on there now. Hopefully, the winter project turns out to be successful. We've got, you know, makes us more attractive. We gotta look at this long term, you know, as this is a starting point right now. But like I said, I'd really like to see the board of trustees approve this on their land.
Yep. I don't think, we're probably not prepared to do that tonight, are we? I don't think we would just talk it over.
And you guys could always, I guess, not make a motion, but just provide your support. if that's what you
Yeah,
want.
I think I certainly would support it.
I got more questions, but I mean, I support it. I'm not ready to make a motion.
We're at 7.
I think
He's
I'm
got-
in favor of it as well.
He's got 5 or 6 things.
I was thinking
Wants to
about this
discuss.
as you're talking.
The town
Wasn't
board
necessarily
versus the
listening to
first
everything.
council. Right.
Maybe the
Just
lease
got our stuff.
is the right way to go. So we'll have to discuss that.
Say that again?
He said a lease.
Yeah.
Is it my turn? First, I apologize for not getting here on time. I had a mini family emergency, I guess, but good thing Adam called me. And I'm a little behind here, I guess, on the discussion, but I think our board is okay with this community center. We've probably got some details to work out with it. And one question I might have is, how are you going to staff this thing yet, or do you know that yet? Have you?
It'll be Betsy.
Betsy's gonna answer that question.
Well, we have 2 staff, full-time staff that work at the rec department now. In our proposal to the select board, we did say that we probably have to have 1 more full-time staff member and then part-time staff to help facilitate it, yeah. I mean, it'll be added jobs in our community. We all want to keep our youth here. It's an opportunity for youth to have some sustainable work in their own community. It could also be volunteer-based.
I was gonna ask, how many volunteer students, kids help out with those
We
programs?
get quite a few volunteers at the rec center.
The summer program?
Yep.
I had this year 12 CITs, 12 youth between 13 to 15 that volunteered their summer for our summer programs. And then we had 3 paid staff, or 4 paid staff for running our summer programs. We also employ youth in our food booth for concession stands. And they're always chomping at the bit to come back and do other activities. We also have youth volunteers for referees and coaches. Our youth volunteer to do that as well. So this is just an added benefit for them.
Neil, part of what we discussed before you got here was there would be some rented out of the facility, especially the gym part of it. And so there would be revenue coming in from the rental to offset utilities and some staff increase. And that was part of what was prepared and submitted to the select board, how many hours they thought they could rent it. And so that would be used to offset some of those costs that you're asking about.
Is that in that package?
I don't believe that
No.
made it to that package, but I'm
Maybe you
happy
could-
to get that
Betsy or
information.
Joel could share that with you guys, what they showed us, how it would get some revenue back to pay for some of that staff.
Well, we gotta be realistic here. I mean, Swanton's gonna have a new building, sizable building, there's gonna be operation costs there, but the need is there and people wanna use it. And in the end, the community's gonna have to make the decision because it's gonna have to be some local dollars put in it. There's gonna have to be some kind of vote, whether it's for a bond or loan or whatever, but it won't be built without community approval.
And we did say, Neil, before we got here, that at our last meeting, we set allotted 600,000 of our ARPA funds put toward it.
It was like 1.3 current to build what we want. So we're
1.6.
600,000 of your 800,000?
Well, we got about
1.2 million we got total.
Oh, so the paper wasn't right.
No, village has 724, I think.
The
Town had.
And 1.2 million.
1.2 million, the press was wrong on saying it was
No,
all
Yeah.
let out. It
Anyways.
wasn't, because we were supposed to get hours by, the rest of the hours by the 15th of October. So that was, the press had it all messed up.
Okay.
That happens.
Yes, I think, I mean, it certainly sounds like you're in agreement of working together to do something. I think it's just a matter of how we want to work the land, whether it's a lease, whether you want to convey it, however you want. I think that's the part that you guys will have to figure out going forward, so. But I think before.
I have one question, but go ahead, Joel. No,
Yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
One thing in discussing it tonight, this is way more discussion than I was expecting tonight, so I think it's great. What we're gonna hold off on, I think, in talking with James, is moving ahead on any of the designs. So I don't know when we could come back
Yeah.
to talk to the village, when we, and I say we, because again, it's a select board issue to be working with the trustees, but I'm here to help facilitate, is when we could come forward and get some agreement of how this would move ahead. I mean, I'm in hopes that property's been used for recreation, so this is just enhancing the existing property. And then we make it as easy as possible for the rec department to move forward on this. But if we could come to the next trustee meeting, or however, whatever we need to do to help try to move it ahead, because we've got the town approval to start design, but because of the land issue now, we're gonna hold off a little bit till we're sure we're on solid footing before we spend any design dollars.
So I had one question, and we probably none of this stuff to answer, but with that piece of land that the parking lot the village owns, if we go out to apply for grants and stuff for this community center, are we gonna have to actually own that property where this building's gonna set? Is that gonna throw any snafus into anything that we do?
I mean, we've applied for grant funds in the past for that facility, and we've never
Yeah.
put anything on, we never used the village, we've
Yeah.
always used the town.
There's probably nobody's ever realized.
No one's ever realized, and I never realized that we town didn't own it.
Yeah, but I mean, we have a soccer field, we have numerous grant funds that we've got down in that parking area.
Mhm.
But they
Yeah.
don't have, but if they're gonna bond.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm asking
yeah.
that question.
You're
Yeah.
gonna have to, I don't know, it's
We
either
may
have
have
to
to
like a
own the
long-term
property.
lease or the land conveyed.
Yeah.
Because you can't bond for something that you
Lease
don't
or sale.
own what it's sitting on, I don't know.
Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, there could be some legal issues there that we'd have to check into. But how much revenue does that land generate right now in taxes? Zero, right?
Yeah, otherwise we get taxed.
So,
Can't be going down that aisle.
I know, but I mean, if it's not
Double that up,
generating
bro.
any income and we're all pretty much in agreement that we want to use it for recreation, what difference does it make who owns it?
Who gets
Well,
the tax?
we're just saying that when, if they agree to let us lease it or whatever, that was my question, is down the road, when we get this ball rolling, is there gonna be any snafus that we don't, town doesn't actually own that piece of land?
Well, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
if we're gonna, like she said, if we're gonna offer a bond, we're probably gonna have to own that piece of land.
I think from insurance purposes, et cetera, some type of lease agreement,
Yeah.
long-term is probably what would be needed,
Yeah.
or some transfer of land.
99-year lease.
Or transfer of land, I mean, it's
Yeah.
to the rec department, or,
Yeah.
anyway, there's some options, but certainly glad to hear the positive tonight of support and whatever I can do to help work it.
The total acreage is about half an acre.
The total parcel we own is 14 and a half.
Right.
Does that include the present ball field or?
Yes.
And plus what was donated?
Yep.
You don't, yeah, but the at the donations from Swanton Lime, you don't own that.
Yeah, they do.
How'd that, it got,
That was conveyed to us.
Oh.
It's all one
No.
parcel on the Vermont tax map parcel viewer.
wow.
It's all.
That's been conveyed since I've been here.
Yeah. So was that all that parking lot, Swan Line originally? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So they conveyed it to the village.
Right now,
slash
there's no
town,
property
whatever.
taxes being paid on it, to my knowledge,
No,
at this point.
no, because it's village owned,
Right.
yeah.
So, moving right along, am I correct in saying that my board is behind this and it's just gonna be developed from here? And we know your board is.
Yeah, we've already approved,
The
total 600,000, but 100 something.
107.
109,000
For
for
the engineer.
engineering and design, is what we're, you know, do we wanna commit all that right now until we're sure of everything or no? That's the question.
Now, we approved it, we just can't go forward with it until we get
Yeah,
approval from the
I mean, it's
land.
approved.
And like
do on our end.
we said, we didn't know nothing about this till last week, that the town didn't
Say
actually
in
own that.
another future meeting, you guys need to vote it. But
Can we put it on our agenda for the next meeting for discussion and possible vote?
And a chance to formulate any questions we have.
Yeah.
Just a little research legally and that sort of thing.
Yeah. That's,
When's your next meeting?
I mean, we're in favor of this, we're not gonna hold you up.
October 10th,
No,
11?
yeah.
Oh,
because,
that's right, yeah. October 10th, so
That would give us time to check with our attorney to see legally how we can make this work.
It's a real possibility.
So we'll bring it up at our next regular meeting.
Yep.
We'll ask some questions of lawyers or whoever, accountants, and try to get the land issue out of the way and move forward on that.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, it's my understanding that he's got some more coming up. Brian, you've got some more?
We'd like to talk about downtown economic development. That's, Earl is heading up that, but I think we may.
I think most of that discussion would probably be taking place in executive session.
Yeah.
Because there is a real estate issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I could add something for joint interest. So this Thursday, FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, is coming up to do a scoping study on our hydro facility. Also, state agencies are going to show up as well. So it's going to be kind of like present ourselves as, you know, this is our utility, this is why we're here. And I don't know if it's going to be a rebuttal going back and forth with the agencies or not. There's one session at 10. The agencies are going to do a tour at 1, and I believe there's another one at 7 p.m. that's going to be up at the Highgate Elementary School. So I encourage people to be there to support the hydro facility, because Agency of Natural Resources is really pushing back on the 401 water quality certificate, and a lot of the things that they're trying to have us do in order for us to gain our license would substantially impact our production of electricity. And this winter, we're extremely concerned. It's something on our any other business topic, but purchase power for when the rivers are dry and all this kind of stuff this winter. Our analyst from VEPSA, I've never seen him scared, and he was scared for what the winter prices are going to be this year. But last year, they were, what, 100?
yeah, or not more.
Yeah, and he's thinking 300. So that's, you know, obviously factor 3. A lot of our businesses in Swanton, like Vermont Precision Tools, Leader Evaporator, all of them can tout that their production is maintained by 100% renewable resources. So when they go sell their product, they're getting 100% renewable energy at this point. If we are reduced in our production, the second most economical, or not economical, but the second most popular method is fossil fuels. So coal or propane. So we'd rather not go that route, and I don't know if this is going to be a, I don't want to say pissing match, but I will.
Slugfest.
There may be a slugfest at this meeting on Thursday, I'm not sure. but it will have, we will have issues down the road.
What time is it, Rich?
There's a 10 o'clock and a 7 p.m.
What date was that on?
This Thursday, 29th.
29.
Next Thursday?
This is
This
Thursday.
This
Thursday, okay.
Thursday.
I guess it's this Thursday,
Yes.
because I was just wondering if there would be any, if it's a public comment period, if the board approved, you know, wanting to support this relicenses of the facility because of the value of this area. But it'd be hard to get that done by Thursday.
Well, I was gonna say,
Not unless we-
do you want a letter of support from the select board? Well, we can do that. We can do that right here, make it tonight, and Brian can type it up
Yeah.
of something.
So it's not only Swanton residents, I mean, Swanton residents also have a lot like the co-op and GMP,
Yeah.
the Highgate. So it affects neighbors to our north
Mhm.
substantially because they get income from what we do also into their tax base.
So I think that
300.
really the big issue would be, you know, this is a renewable energy source, and cost of fossil fuels are, you know, we can't control that. We do have some control over this, and it's gonna be needed. I mean, we can make a, you know, a good letter of support for the need for this facility to maintain, stay online.
So there's 19, 28, 24, 28, 56, and 91 years that these turbines were in production, and they still run to nameplate. So over the years, they don't deplete, you don't have to tear them down, you know, recycle, you know, whatever with the fibers that are on wind turbines. The only things we have to do to these, the only thing we have to do to these units, redo the bearings, redo the windings, and they're still good.
And if they're pushing for more heat pumps, well, we need the electricity, you know, to run that.
More electrification.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of discouraging that the ones that are giving us problems with relicensing are not the federal people, it's the state people. Our own people are giving us the problems.
It's people that don't have any kind of engineering background. It's driving me absolutely out of my mind.
Or a background.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
they claim to be scientists in the river. Our team are scientists also, and they're just neglecting their input or their analysis of the rivers.
Ignoring it.
Thank you. So any support we can get from you folks, that'll be cool. As soon as I hear back from our representative from FERC, I'll probably go visit Monica, see if we can get a letter of support from her, and also leader, like Pool and Drain, Cargill, the new owners of
802, yes.
802. So, stay tuned.
And what about the industrial corporation, county, Franklin County?
Yeah, I see.
Tim Smith, yeah.
Have you asked him, or have you already?
He knows, but I'll have to ask to remind him.
So do you need this letter of support for Thursday's meeting?
Yeah.
Please.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion from somebody to
I move.
have Brian draft a letter of support for this.
A second.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it.
Very good.
Brian, we're not drafting that.
Yeah.
Oh, we should have made a motion for, are we all gonna sign it? We probably all should sign it and make it look official.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll
We'll have to run around and sign it, but we'll get done.
I'll have it on the front
Yep.
counter by,
Sounds good.
I'd say tomorrow.
Yeah.
One, tomorrow?
Well, Wednesday morning.
We gotta get in there
Yeah,
on
today's
Wednesday to sign it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
we used to our Tuesdays.
So the economic development discussion is gonna be in executive session.
Well, before
For
we
the
get
downtown part, yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, I would like to, with everybody's permission, talk briefly about a new website.
Yeah.
The town, if you're, is in desperate need of a new website. What we've got is not really user-friendly, and it's difficult to find information. And just for discussion purposes, and I mentioned this to Reg, what the thought would be of a combination, a combined town and village website. And how it should be worked out. Now, I started a few months ago of getting, looking at websites, various municipalities throughout the state, about the nicest one, and this company has got a number of them, but the closest one is right in St. Albans town. Revised government websites. Very easy to find any information that you want. There is some discussion, there's some, there'll have to be some work if they did do the combined site, or you could also hyperlink it one to the other. I got information, this is very basic information, but if you just on prices, you know, we will, if you wish to pursue this jointly, we can do so, or it's also information there, you can pursue it your individuals, individual boards. But the next step would be to get this representative, well, his first name is Brian Rowan from the developer to come up. Price is not bad. To a one-time fee for design would be $2,750. A one-time fee for migration, moving the information over into the new site, $1,500. $400 for the village website, $1,500 for the town, and $1,800 support and hosting security annually, so $1,800 a year annually. One of the other companies I checked with, they were just for the town, they were looking at a setup fee of $15,000. This is just information, and I would invite everybody to take a look at the Town of St. Albans website if you haven't, and you can see how easy it is to find what you want just by actually Reggie has got it on there. And if you just go across the top of the menu, it brings up your departments, you just click on who you want. You don't have to hunt down the side like we have to find. Now I know the village, you're able to make your utility payments through the website. The town of St. Albans is able to take their water, their stormwater utility payments through that website. We in the town do not take payments through the website because we don't have any utilities, but I'm sure that can be adapted. So just getting out there, trying to get this, but we are definitely, the board, the select board, our goal is to get a new website up and going this year.
This gentleman, this Brian Rowan, is he responsible for the St. Albans one?
Yeah, it's his company, or it's his company, yeah, that's the one.
Cool.
Yeah. I believe they also do Middlebury, I think it was Lindenville. There's a number of them that this company has done, and they're all like, I'm just using St. Albans town because they're close by. And now there's the other back end of it, to go in and update it as we go. I don't know anything about your website. Our existing website that we use, it's a challenge to update that. When it works well, it goes right along, but they have just sold, and I have not been able to, I've been trying for 2 days to update that. They also have no real-time support. You can't call a phone number and get support, you can't get help. So it was a very generic website, and whereas this is custom built.
Now, I will, if I can, VEPS has always touted that the image of the public utilities is essential when not everybody understands what does it mean to be public power. So they tout trying to do more Facebook stuff, more website updates and stuff. I just got back from the Emergency Management Summit that they said the same thing, putting out information on, you know, storms, you know, like I do on Facebook for winter weather advisories in my other job. It's a needed thing, and ours is very cumbersome. I can't get in there and do it. Katie can do a little bit of stuff, but between Diane, Lynn, and myself, do a lot of the Facebook, the website. And the one that we had develop it, he's a great person, but he's busier than most of us at this point. So,
One of the benefits of going with a company that specializes in government websites is they, they've heard all of these challenges that we're faced with today in our community, so they've really have a template down with the recreational software we use. They've built it to be incredibly user-friendly to input information, and I can only assume that using a service like this, it would be very similar to that as well.
That's where I was going, one of my questions, with this proposed company, Brian, you would be doing the updates of any changes, or would you be sending it to them?
We haven't gotten to that point yet. I believe they'd have to do major updates, but.
So I'd advocate
stuff.
for in-house, because usually they charge you per update.
Right. You'll notice, if we had a joint website, as he mentions, this might eliminate butting heads on decisions on concerning who's gonna update what in the future with, as administrations change, but, I don't see that as a problem, at least in my span, but that is why he offered the two alternatives, so you just hyperlink everything. So like on the town website, if you're new to Swanton, you interested in knowing who your, what's your address, who's your power company. So if you give in the address and link it, and it'll come up either Swanton Village or Green Mountain Power, or whoever, with the phone number to contact. And the same with the water, sewer, gas, they can all be linked around together. And so that's, we'd have to sit down and they'd have to design it. And I'm not that smart.
It's good to start. Long overdue.
What I would like to see in that site is a way that our, the various groups here in the town, library, recreation, I'm just gonna throw up groups like that, where they have events going on or something they'd like to get out to the community, they could directly put that in that site themselves. I mean, I guess you might be concerned about what over control, but I mean, if it's a meeting, library trustee meeting, I mean, it should be put in there. The other thing that I really feel is important is it should be designed so it can be a marketing tool for this community. Especially Merchant Grove, in downtown area. I don't like internet. I hate cell phones. I don't have a smartphone. I don't want to lose my mind, so I don't have a smartphone. But this is the way it is today, and maybe if we utilize this right, we'll get some benefit from this instead of all the negative things that, social media brings. But if we're gonna get somebody to design a site, I mean, I wanna see what it's gonna look like and how it's gonna help us market our community. And I wanna be able to have the community groups be able to get their information in there. And so people wanna know what's going on in Swan, whether they live here or not, they can go there and find out. We're very easy.
It's definitely a need to have a community calendar where everybody's information can be found in one spot. And much like Earl said, it's definitely a need for us to start marketing our community with all of the wonderful things that are happening here. It's our time to shine. And this is, I think, a great way to start that, is by having a website for both of us to come together.
As well as all the other organizations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because people outside this community don't understand town villages or cities, towns, and like Vermont has that unique setup, but they go to that website, they can still find everything they want. And then, maybe that, if it's like for the business community, we could designate Brian to be the contact person. So he would tell people, well, okay, you need to see the village for this, okay, so they'd have someone to deal with, a live human being that actually talks, to deal with, to help them through the process, help, people through the process, even if it's for housing or whatever. someone that he would be the contact person, and he could point them in the direction that they needed to go. Because we gotta compete. This is what other communities are doing. Some of them have been successful, depends how hard you work.
You could help what you put into it.
Where's this guy based?
That's a good question. Area code 248, wherever that is, I don't,
He's not Vermont.
Oh, it's
no,
not.
it's not wrong.
Yeah.
Michigan maybe?
Yeah, it could be.
There are other companies too.
Oh, yeah.
And we've been
Michigan.
bombarded with companies calling about websites, but I don't recognize this guy's name.
Reggie, it's the same company.
Is it?
Yeah, we deal with Jason, you're dealing with Brian, it's the same company.
Also, they've been calling you too?
Yeah,
Well, he
nonstop.
basically told him knock it off.
Oh, wow.
Little,
This is just one of many companies. I mean, if you take a look at, there's,
but his work is excellent, that town website's beautiful. So,
There's some that, I know, I spent an hour and a half with a presentation on one of the things out there. They weren't a website. They were gonna hook something onto our website, so they would be there forwarding information and all this stuff. So, no, I said, we want a website. Oh, well, we don't do that. I said, you just wasted an hour and a half. I know.
If you don't pay their fees, they don't do your,
Yeah.
your high end website.
So, there's a lot of different companies out there, but I checked on 3 and looked at their work on Vermont websites in Vermont, and this one kept coming up as some of the better ones.
yeah.
You call Carrie Johnson and see how happy she is with it?
No, I haven't. I can. I'm not sure. Well, I can give her.
I got her number.
I've got it.
Does Webster's website? Wonder who does Webster's website?
They do their own.
No, I don't believe they do.
No, I mean,
It used
just,
to be a company out.
you don't have to do it right now, but.
About 2 seconds.
I've got to agree with Earl, but you've got to do more to promote our community through the website, because to make it as easily accessible as Facebook is to
Very user-friendly.
everybody, and to put the truth in instead of whatever goes into Facebook. Everybody thinks it's gospel, and it's not. So we've got to make our websites as easily accessible with the truth about what we're doing.
Right.
I don't know if Earl heard that.
No.
Earl, did you hear Neil's comment?
Doesn't
What's that?
Did you hear what Neil just said? He agreed with what basically he said, he agreed with what you said.
Well, what I was talking to Brian about was, having a schedule for a presentation for us, and maybe at our next, well, I don't know if we could get it in at our next select board meeting, or at least our second, because you're gonna have you're gonna come back here for their next meeting, right?
You said it's the 11th?
The third for the ARPA discussion, then our next regular board meeting is the 11th.
So I don't know if you can do it under the ARPA
'Cause we
discussion,
would
I'll have
do-
to talk
I mean,
about
maybe-
the property.
yeah.
I mean, the 11th, I'm gonna be sitting in an airport in DC. I don't get home till, on the 11th, I don't get home till 11 at night. I mean, I can dial in from the airport, but for the meeting on the 11th, but I mean, it's really a question of
The town.
the details of the land.
Yeah, I don't think it's nothing that directly you need.
No.
Just whether you'd wanna do both, that discussion plus the presentation on the website on the same night. I don't know what the rest of your meeting has.
What, on the ARPA meeting, no?
No, on the 11th, or you think the ARPA meeting might work, but what is that?
I would put it on
Meeting
your
or so.
agenda, but.
The 11th,
The 11th is our next regular scheduled board meeting.
yeah.
I mean, the website isn't as critical as the land, in my mind.
That's right.
The website can come 6 months from now.
Maybe.
Well, we're probably talking 6 months to a year once we get to go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So there's, it takes a while.
But I think the land is urgent.
I was telling Earl, our board, next couple of meetings, we're full.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, I know.
that's good.
It's coming that time.
You got budgets coming here.
Yeah, I know.
And then budget's after.
Yeah.
We'll do it at our next regular meeting.
I won't be able to make the 11th. I'm getting a new knee on the 10th.
I'll be here. God willing.
And the creek don't rise.
It will. You think we're gonna be immune from the weather?
Okay, so website, we're set with that, and you got some more that you wanna discuss?
Well, we're just into downtown economic stuff.
Yeah.
Executive session, yeah.
Executive session.
Okay.
So do we, are you gonna try it on the 11th, or do you wanna come to one of our meetings?
We got other business after.
Yeah, our business.
Which, try what on the 11th?
The website. I'm not gonna let it go, because we really need to get started on that, really, that's.
I get a kick out of this guy. He hates the stuff, but he figures it out and get going.
Listen, I have to listen to every meeting.
I hate this stuff, but you guys have gotta get going on it.
Did you get that email, Earl? Yeah. Did you respond? No.
But yes, you're right. We can do it on the 11th, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, I can work with Brian between now and
See
then,
if I can
and
get it.
we can figure it out and get you guys something to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get it, if you can get this guy this company to come in, yeah.
Yeah, we gotta see what their schedule is.
If not, we can try it at our meeting.
Okay.
Can't do it all.
For
the way.
free if they're flying in.
I just want to say something.
Or maybe they'll Zoom.
They may do.
Okay, we'll do that.
No, in person.
Oh, I don't know.
So,
Anybody that shows up on Zoom, I'm not gonna approve
how
it.
long you guys got left?
I'll do the executive thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Andy's got a
We're
question.
supposed to take a turn now? or-
Yeah.
But,
Well,
Do we have anything?
I've got stuff for other business.
Ed,
But nothing for this agenda item.
or do you wanna go into executive session and come out and do our other business?
that's okay, you've got
But I
it.
got stuff for executive session too, so.
Oh, what?
Doesn't matter to me.
Question. Oh, Sandy, you got a question?
Not a question, just a statement.
Yep.
It's really great to see you folks working together, and it's so obvious how beneficial these joint sessions are. Is there any works in the future to have more joint sessions? We used to have them at least once a month.
About every 3 months, we used to be pre-COVID.
I think
No,
COVID
we
COVID
used
for
to
the
have them on a
info.
regular basis years ago.
Quarterly.
Anyway, that's just
Thank you, Sandy.
a thank you for doing this, and hopefully we can see you all working together again.
Thank
We
you.
work
Thank you.
so well when you're together. What's that statement? United we stand, divided we fall. Good night.
That's Sandy. So,
Sandy.
I have one thing I want.
Chris, go ahead. You wanna talk to these guys about it?
Yeah, just,
What?
this may have been taken care of, but I've been bugged about it. I think we should have a resource officer for the elementary school.
Been taken care of.
It's been taken care of, what's done.
The last
Do we
meeting,
have one?
Yes. we do.
Okay.
they accepted
That's
the
what it's all,
contract.
that's all.
That's for that
Behind the
high
eight
school.
ball.
No,
Like I
we
said,
said
I
it last
just don't
meeting.
think all
Yeah,
education
Sometime.
live in Texas.
Not
Yeah, we got one for both. Right.
I think we allowed,
It's allowed that they go there if there's an issue.
yeah, that's not a full-time person.
No, it's a
Right.
part-time, I mean,
Right.
yeah, it's a beginning, that's what they want.
And it's at the source,
Any,
Yeah, and it's
anything
after
else
school.
to be brought up
correct?
in open session before we go?
I've got stuff for you guys. But if you wanna deal with their, if you wanna do,
So we wanna go
You
into
can do
executive
executives.
session to deal with their issue and then come back
And finish up.
and finish up ours?
you
Okay.
can.
Okay. So, you and me both entertain a motion to go into executive session
Yes.
with the town.
They moved, I second.
Okay, motion got made and seconded to go into executive session for discussion with the town. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, we're ready for executive session.
I'll make a motion to exit to town select board executive session at 8:49.
I second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Action taken, none.
Are we done?
Make a motion that we
We're
adjourn.
gonna make a motion that the select board portion of this meeting adjourn.
Make that motion that we adjourn at 8:59.
I second.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Great.
We'll let you guys suffer a little.
Neil, not so much, but.
Yeah, some of us are on time.
Yeah, right.
New of the meeting.
They're gonna stay in executive session, Joe, they have more to talk about, so.
Are you guys going back into executive right now?
Yeah, he'll.
We're still in.
We're still. Oh, yeah.
Good job, Darryl.
It's in the fridge. You got that far.
Whatever works.
Do there any other business?
You guys have more line? You're collecting the ones that I need. I seen him bring it up in the morning.
Neil?
So we're gonna go out of executive session, finish up the water bond, so Diane can go, and then we'll go back in and finish the other person.
So we're basically out of executive session.
You need to get
We
that.
moved and seconded, and we voted, we're out of the executive session. And we have to go with the water.
Water bond.
The first thing I had was Adam had asked if
I make a
I,
motion to come out of the executive session. And Gene seconded.
So we're in open session now.
Yep.
Any other business?
The camera is still running?
Yep.
Okay.
so when I sent around the power supply bill today, Adam had asked for me to kind of brief you guys on that tonight. So, the power bill, the gross power was just under $445,000 for the month of August, which is 22% over budget. Reason being is we were on the spot market, so our coverage ratio was 91%. So that meant we had 9% that we didn't have contracts covering between generation and power contracts. The spot market price was really high for the month, so that's part of it. Generation was up, but it's still, so we netted it, it was over budget by 22%. So our power bill net that we had to pay was $254,000, on top of all the other bills that we pay for power supply throughout the month. So year-to-date wise, when I look at where that's gonna put us at year end, it's right now, depending on how we do for generation the rest of the year, that will put us over budget in purchase power. Because we had been running pretty close.
And there really isn't anything we can do about it.
Right, exactly. And I mean, it kind of goes back to what Reggie was saying, that, you know, the spot market prices, they're really afraid that they're gonna be over $300 this winter.
And I suspect somebody's gonna take advantage of it.
Yeah, but we have beaten the 2019 generation at the hydro plant. So
That's good.
we're on track to have a really good year. We just have some,
Even though we have a good year, because of circumstances.
right. But, I mean, we had 3 or 4 months in a row that we actually had negative power supply because we had so much generation. So, some months you have good months, some months you have bad months, so.
I'm concerned for the future. Sometimes 4 or 5 years from now, when they really want to go with electrification,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to provide it, we're gonna have to buy it.
right.
And
Thank
the
you so
public
much.
is really
Have a good night.
got to realize that we've got to get this thing under control. And you have the state agencies that don't want to approve a hydro dam. Ludicrous.
So the other thing I had is, if we want to go forward with a bond vote for the Missisquoi River crossing,
Yes.
At the November 8th,
9th.
oh, the 9th? Okay, so the Tuesday of the general election, we need to sign the documents tonight.
Yeah.
We just got them back from the lawyer the end of last week.
And
Sorry,
this is-
Lynn, you were right, the 8th.
8th,
Yeah.
right, so what we're scheduling is the public hearing on November 1. And then, it would run it would run in the paper October 18th, 25th, and November 1 for the public notice. Public hearing 11/1, and the vote is the 8th. So what we have, that Diane has, is the declaration of intent, which means you guys are saying any costs, like if we have any costs that we're incurring right now that we're not covering under our SRF loan for planning purposes, we want to go back and cover that through the debt. It can only be for the last 60 days prior to the vote. So in the declaration of intent is, we're intending to build this project. We don't have the cash to build it, so we're going to take out debt for it. And then there's a resolution also that basically says the same, that does the same thing. Excuse me, the resolution is for the bills. We don't have anything right now that we're of substance that we're not covering under our SRF loan. So the resolution is saying that it's, in a nutshell, because it's 2 pages long, that hereby found and determined that the public interest and necessity demand certain public water system improvements, namely to construct a second water line from the water plant crossing the Missisquoi River to the village at an aggregate estimate cost of $900,000. And it is hereby further found and determined that the cost of completing said public improvements after application of funds available from the United States or State of Vermont appropriations and reserve funds would be too great to be paid out of the ordinary income and revenue of the village. Whereas a proposal for providing such construction and improvements and the issuance of general obligation bonds or notes of the village in an aggregate amount not to exceed $900,000, subject to the reduction of available state and federal grants and aids and reserve funds to pay for the costs, and the same shall be submitted to the legal voters of the village at a special meeting, therefore duly called and held on November 8th, 2022. And then it goes on to, the statutes. So then it lists Article 1, shall the bonds or notes of the village of Swanton in an amount not to exceed $900,000 subject to reduction from available state and or federal grants and aid appropriations and reserve funds be issued for the purpose of financing the cost of making public water system improvements, namely to construct a second water line from the water plant crossing the Missisquoi River to the village. The cost of such improvements estimated to be $900,000. So that's where we need a motion and a second to approve that, so Diane can attest to it.
So we
And then,
Now, shall we take these separately?
yes, so
So I'm willing to make
And
the
so-
motion that we accept what you just read.
So the
Is that appropriate?
yep,
Can I get I make the motion then.
And I'll second.
Okay, good.
All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion's carried. We approve the resolution.
and then we also need a motion to approve the warning, right? So I read you Article 1 already. So what the top part of the warning says, the legal voters of the village of Swanton are hereby notified and warned to meet at the Swanton Village Complex, 121st Street, Swanton, Vermont, on Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, between the hours of 7:00 a.m., at which time the polls will open, and 7:00 in the afternoon p.m., at which time the polls will close, to vote by Australian ballot upon the following articles of business. We're going to have to fill that in. So that is the warning. We don't do that till after. That we'll have to also approve, so Diane can, and Neil's gonna have to sign that as the village president. So we're gonna need to change that to wording too. So we gotta put in this. And then that should probably say village president, because he's instead of a chair. So we'll need a motion to approve that also.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve the warning.
I would make the motion to approve the warning as read.
And I'll second.
Second.
Yep.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to approve the warning for the vote. All those in favor, well, any discussion?
No.
Didn't ask that. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion's carried unanimously.
And
We
then,
need to get some word out on this on town,
yeah.
make sure nobody
And
gets
then
up on their high horse and thinks it's not a good
the
idea.
last thing that we need to approve is the declaration of official intent, where it's, whereas the Village of Swanton intends to make water system improvements subject to approval and authorization of the issuer at a special meeting to be called and held November 8th, 2022. And whereas the issuer expects to pay certain capital expenditures in connection with the project prior to the issuance of indebtedness for the purpose of financing costs associated with the project on a long-term basis. Whereas the issuer reasonably expects that for that part of the project consisting of design, permitting, acquisition, financing, administration, management, and construction costs, debt obligations in an amount not to exceed $900,000 will be issued, and that certain of the proceeds, such as debt obligations, will be used to reimburse the reimbursement expenditures. And whereas the issuer declares its reasonable official intent to reimburse prior expenditures for the above described part of the project with proceeds of a subsequent borrowing. Now therefore the issuer declares, the issuer finds and determines that the foregoing recitals are true and correct, and that all capital expenditures covered by this resolution were or will be made not earlier than 60 days prior to the date of this resolution. This declaration is made solely for the purpose of establishing compliance with the requirements of section 1.150-2 of the Treasury regulations. This declaration does not bind the issuer to make any expenditure, incur any indebtedness, or proceeds with the project. Section 3, the issuer hereby declares its official intent to use proceeds of indebtedness to reimburse itself for reimbursement expenditures within 18 months of either the date of the first expenditure of funds by the issuer for such project or the date that such project is placed in service, whichever is later, but in no event more than 3 years after the date of the original expenditure of issuer funds for such project, and to allocate an amount not to exceed $900,000 of the proceeds, therefore to reimburse itself for its expenditures in connection with the project. Section 4, the issuer's debt obligations for a aforementioned purpose will not be private activity bonds within the meaning of Section 141 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. Section 5, all prior actions of the officials and agents of issuer that are in conformity with the purpose and intent of this resolution and in forbearance of the project shall be, and the same hereby are in all respects ratified, approved, and confirmed. Section 6, all other resolutions of the legislative body of the issuer or parts of resolutions inconsistent with this resolution are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency. Section 7, it is hereby found that all discussions and deliberations of the legislative body of the issuer leading to the adoption of this resolution occurred at one or more meetings of the legislative body conducted pursuant to public notice and open to public attendance. Section 8, this declaration shall take effect from and after its adoption. The undersigned village clerk of the issuer hereby certifies that the foregoing is a full, true, and correct copy of the declaration of the legislative body of said issuer duly made at a meeting therefore held on the date specified below, and that said declaration has not been amended, modified, or revoked. Ooh, that was a lot.
Meeting the same day as the vote?
So the public hearing will be the
Week
week
before.
prior,
What,
but
on the
the
first?
vote is actually that November
Okay,
8th
but
date.
it sounded like your meeting date is the 8th, which is,
Well, that's the way they word it.
Word it
for
from
those-
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to come and vote it. They're talking about the vote, but
but it's understood the informational meeting is 7
we'll
days.
advertise it, yeah.
We'll
Okay,
have
just
to
didn't
be
hear
after
that, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we just.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
So the motion to approve the declaration
Declaration of intent.
as intent has been moved and seconded. We don't need a discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion is carried unanimous.
So just also, Chris was mentioning that, information for the public, so that there is some debt forgiveness on this.
So right now, we qualify for 50% of debt forgiveness. So a $900,000 project is only gonna cost us $450,000. So, but we have to bond for the full amount,
Yeah.
Yes.
because they won't, like, we can draw down that amount and then they forgive
As you
it
go,
after,
as you go along.
yeah.
And then the other part of this is that, okay, so there's no redundant water line crossing coming into the village.
Yeah.
And we knew from the 2018 flood how close it came to the bridge. And then once the bridge gets in the mix to get repaired, we're gonna need that extra water line crossing in order for them to do the repair on the bridge.
Absolutely. That's kind of critical
Mhm.
right now. And, you know, that line is 50, 60 years old.
Yeah,
Well, 40 years, I don't know exactly.
trying to think when the plant was first put in down there.
72.
Diane,
Well,
you want to say
it's been,
something?
we've already done the evaluation, 20-year upgrade.
Anyway,
We
yes,
haven't worked out all the details yet, but we were wondering if we had to with the village office closed on the day of voting in case we're all needed to work the vote. Because it's primary day for voting, and the town feels this is gonna be a difficult thing to add to that day, so I wondered if we could.
We've worked out the
Wow.
logistics of how we would set up, as far as, for check-in for the town, we would run a separate checklist, but
Yeah.
we would need workers. So the only way that would work is if we basically closed the front office
Yeah.
and
Swore them in as
I'm fine with that.
poll
Yeah,
workers.
it's
It
okay.
Yeah.
didn't work the last time.
But we might not have to, but we may need to, so
But
Whatever
as
works
long as
for
we
you.
have your permission, we know we can work with
Sure.
I could
the
volunteer
extra
to help.
staff.
I might be free that day.
I'll probably need you that evening,
You
or,
want- you want-
yeah,
You want me to?
yeah, for
I can work
counting,
the day
and
if you want, not a problem. Let me know.
I will,
Anybody else?
I can help too.
See?
yeah.
Hey, look at that. I
I'd
got
love to
two.
help. I
He's-
gotta work.
He's busy. He makes it.
You get out of work at 5, don't you?
No, I start work at 5:30 and I get out of work at 7.
I'm just fooling,
But,
Okay.
yeah, that'd be fine.
yeah.
I just
So-
got one under any other.
What's that?
I got one under any other business.
Okay.
Oh,
Any other, not any other business, any other necessary
Yes.
business?
That's all. The one I got with-
We went the route with any other business over there.
Yes.
We're necessary.
Yes. When it's my turn, let me know.
Your turn.
My turn? All right. Met with the tree warden, the Swanton tree warden last week, and good conversations. He's going to work up 4 trees that we're looking at putting in, mostly hardwood. Couple of them will probably not be the big full-grown ones, but like the short ones that only get like 20 feet tall when they're fully mature. He's gonna work up a price, so hopefully I'll have that at the next meeting. And we also talked about the future. He really only, we looked through the whole park, and there's probably only about 10 trees, 10, maybe 11 trees that really should come down. The blue spruces should obviously just come down and go from there. But he also recommended if you didn't want to do trees, they could do hydrangea bushes that filter out, and they're a lot less expensive, which is good. But they will add color to the park throughout the year. Instead of having it green all the time, you're gonna have some reds and purples and oranges and whites and yellows, whatever they do. So I'm just waiting on the price of the 4 trees and installation. And we're gonna get those hopefully done before snow flies.
That's already fall.
Yeah, I know, so, but I'll get with you on the price and see what we, see what there is, and, before we pull the trigger,
Okay.
so.
Anything else?
No, that's all I had. I did have one for executive session for real estate, but that's it.
Okay. Anybody? Reg? No? Okay. That being said, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss real estate personnel. Is that?
So moved.
Second?
Motion been made and seconded to go into executive session. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion's carried. We're in executive session.
Recording's done.
Out of executive session, we're back in our regular session, and I think we have a motion to be made on what we discussed in executive session.
All good?
Who would like to go?
So I'll make the motion that we offer to the category of Police Department, Group D, effective July 1st, 2023. And, where is it here? And to offer Group C to all non-police employees, effective July 1st, 2023.
Okay.
I would second her.
To authorize.
Collectively second.
And yes, and to authorize the village president to sign
Letter of
the
intent.
letter of intent.
Okay, well, that's the motion.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second. Any discussion? Good, no discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried unanimously. That was a result of our
Who made the
discussion
motion on
in
that?
executive session.
I made the motion.
Oh, that's right. Mhm.
Gene seconded.
Yep.
Okay? Any other business to be brought up this evening?
No, sir.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Swanton Village Board of Trustees for September 26, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you and good evening.